What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm building a gingerbread house. This is the gingerbread house that I am building today. I'm also going to be telling a story as well. I also have my girlfriend next to me. She's doing her nails. So she's going to be on the sidelines doing her nails. They got 3 midgies. What is that? Fruit chews. Fruit chews. They got 3 kinds, but different flavors. And we got these balls.
Those are gum
We got
balls.
dots. No?
Yeah, they are. They're gum.
And we got these flower type. They also give us icing as well. So there's we're building a cabin.
I licked myself.
Smells good.
Oh, it's gingerbread. I like gingerbread.
This is the front of the house, I think. Look at the back of the house. This is supposed to be the chimney. Chimney
critter.
But anyways, guys, so here's the instructions on how to build it from start to finish. First, it tells me to prep the icing. I'm gonna do that last.
Oh.
So these are the sides, and this is also the side as well. So these 2 thin ones are the half doors, are the sides, and then this is the roof. What goes on top, protect your house. So this gingerbread house is a special gingerbread house. It's like puzzle pieces you connect. Story time. I'm going to be talking about my adoption story. I was going to wait to do this because I'm planning on doing a podcast. But some stuff I need to buy. But I was going to wait until I was able to start to tell a story, but I'd rather do it now because I can't wait. So the whole adoption story. So my adoption story. So I got adopted at the age of 4, from what I know. So I was adopted at the age of 4. I think for years I knew I was adopted, so I didn't really have any problems knowing about that. So from age of 4, after that, years go by, and one thing that they did is they changed my last name. They kept my first name, but they changed my last name. After that, years go by, and I turned 18, and when I turned 18, sometime when I was 18, my parents or my mom had given me documentation, because from 4 up until 18, I didn't know if I had any brothers or sisters or whatever. So I didn't find out until when I turned 18, because my mom had given me documentations or some documents, and one of those documents had the names of my siblings, but it wasn't like all the siblings that I have, because it only mentioned 2 of them, and then obviously my mom's name, and that's pretty much about it. When she gave me those documentations, at that very moment I tried to look for both of my siblings, and for the first one, I think I remember I did find one, but wasn't exactly too sure, but I still wanted to keep it in mind, just in case if it really was them, then I would be able to contact them and everything and fell apart. So at that moment I tried looking for my other sibling, and I found nothing, because come to find out that they changed her last name and her first name. So that's why I wasn't able to find her in that very moment. I wasn't really in a rush to try to find them, but I still had that feeling of wanting to know who they were and where they were. so then I go through school. I go through elementary, middle school, and high school. And after high school, 2 days after I graduated, I got my first job. Not gonna say where, but I got my first job that wasn't too far away. And so then at that first job that I worked at, I was there for 11 months. 11 months straight, surprisingly. So after being there for 11 months, I decided to quit because of the management there wasn't all that great. But I did love working. I love the people that were there because I really got connected to them, and they were really funny and really nice to be around with, and they taught me so much and all that. And so but apart from that, it was just the whole management that I didn't really like. But I still tried it and still nothing. So after quitting that job, after that one, I decided to work at Amazon, which wasn't a good idea, but still did it. I worked at Amazon. Now this Amazon that I worked at was a small facility, so it wasn't all that big, and it wasn't crowded or anything. And I stayed there for a good while, and then I ended up leaving that job because I noticed that they started cutting hours, which kind of sucked. And I mean, I liked that job because it was easy, and they weren't really like on you about your job or anything, so it was just you by yourself in the area that they put you in. So I quit that job. After I quit my first job, I think a couple months after, or I don't remember exactly how long it was after, but after my first job, that's when I met my girlfriend. And then, well, I actually met her the night before my first day at Amazon, because I remember we were talking. It was like late at night, but it wasn't that late. So then I meet her and everything, and I go through my first couple months of working that Amazon job, which I really liked. It's just that one thing I didn't like is that they started cutting people's hours, and so I quit that job. But I also had a friend working there. I didn't know he was working there until a couple weeks after. But he also quit because of the same reason, because they started cutting people's hours. I started talking more to my girlfriend. We started going out and doing all this stuff. And I mean, I don't remember exactly when I told her I was adopted or the whole story, but I remember she started helping me try to find my sisters. And with me, I've never really been good at distinguishing people's features, because there's people that'll look at a baby and like, oh, this feature looks like, or this baby has the same feature as this person and this and that. So I've never really been good at that. That's why I wasn't really able to find my sisters, because I wasn't really able to distinguish their features with mine. And yeah, so she started helping me. And I remember one day I think we were at a park. No, I think
we were in your bedroom.
Huh?
'Cause I remember we were looking on Instagram, and we were in your bedroom.
That's falling apart.
And you went to go shower, and I kept looking on Instagram, and I was like, I saw a couple people, and I was like, there's 2 people that have one of the names that were on the, what was it?
Yeah, guys.
On your paperwork.
Don't worry about the mess in the back, but she was the main reason why, or how we were able to find them. Because she could distinguish, the features and all that. So after, her being able to find her.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, so I know. So I remember, I think it was a couple of days after, I don't remember exactly, but I remember one morning I woke up and I was just on Instagram, and so I decided to message my older sister. And when I searched her name up on Instagram, I remember looking at her profile and realizing that I've seen that same exact profile before, because it looked familiar. So I decided to message her, and so she messaged back, and we started conversating, and and then from there, I don't remember exactly the full story or all the details, but so after finding both of them, as I started talking more to my younger sister, her parents were nice enough to let me into their home, and when at that point when I was let into their home, come to find, they had told me that that one of the boys that they had in their home was also my brother, which I didn't know. I mean, before even the whole process of, or before even thinking about if I had siblings, I'm sorry, after I was told that I was adopted and all that, I always wondered where they were and all that, and I always thought maybe they were out in California or Las Vegas or whatever. And then come to find out that at the first job that I was working at, they were living like around the corner. I thingy up already, my cabin, but my camera's gonna die, so I'm gonna let it charge for a bit and then keep on telling the story. So I'll be back. It's making a mess with all the icing. But yeah, so from there I started talking more to the younger one, and I stay in contact with all of them. I mean, with both of them, but at that time I wasn't in contact with my mom, just because I didn't know who she was and all that. And so whenever they would talk to me about her, they wouldn't say her name, they would say she or her. And so the one day that, or the first day that they mentioned her name, I was so confused. I didn't know who she was, and I was going over to my older sister's apartment. No, it was after that. After that time, she had told me her name, my mom's name, and so I was confused. And she told me her name because she was going to be at her house, or at her apartment, for a little bit, because she was there for a while. And so she's like, oh, well, you should come by, and she's going to be here for a while. So when I get there, I was so lost because I didn't know who she was, and they didn't really mention like who she was to me or to us. So I was so confused at the time, until the day after that. We were shopping around at a Target. I was curious to know who she was, and so I asked her, I'm like, hey, who's this person, or this name that she mentioned to me? And she's like, oh, well, she's your birth mother. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was shocked at the time. So then the next time I went to her apartment, and she was there. I got her number and everything, and so the reason why I went to her apartment and she was there was because because she wanted me and my older sister to meet an uncle that just got out of prison. I got her number, and then I got his number, and so I stay in contact with both of them, but mostly with my mom. So ever since that, she's told me a lot of stuff that I never knew about, and so that's my whole adoption story from start to finish. It's not something that I talk about normally because a lot of people don't really seem to believe me for some reason, but I figured it's something that I wanted to talk about just because it was interesting to me.
Why don't they believe you?
I don't know. But yeah, so I grew up in the family that I got adopted to. I grew up with a younger brother that everyone thought that he was older because he had facial hair. His facial hair came in a lot faster than mine, so they thought he was older. But yeah, so they ended up changing my my last name. But there was a time when, after my adoption, they didn't change it for a while because, or I noticed that because in one of my school yearbooks, it has my full last name with my middle name and everything, and so then after that, I guess that's when they changed it. Oh, and so then
Why don't you tell them what your last name was? What your last name is?
So then the brother that I grew up with, he was also adopted, but he was adopted a whole lot younger than me, so he was a baby. He also ended up finding his family because of us. You know that?
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Everyone, because okay, so forgot to mention this, but
I don't know that.
But before I started talking to my sisters, and before I found them on Instagram and everything, and we were gonna start going to the whole process of going through court and all that paperwork and all that, and so before halfway through that entire process, that's when we found my sisters. But in that whole entire process, we were being given these documentations and all this paperwork of how to go through, of how to do it a whole lot faster and easier. And so that paperwork, I ended up sending a copy to my mom. Well, I sent a picture to my mom, and so then I guess with that information they used to find his family and all that.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, so we were the ones that I guess helped him. I don't know what they are, who they are, but all I know is that he was also adopted. So that's when it came to be. So that's my whole story, my whole adoption story. Pretty recently, I've been talking a lot to my mom, and she's told me a lot about how we were when we were kids, and before the whole adoption thing. So I found those stories pretty cool. And so one of the things that she told me is that with my sisters that they would always pick on me.
I remember her saying that.
And so, especially one of them that picked on me the most. And so I told her, because I found it crazy, I told her that the last time my girlfriend and my younger sister went to the movies, as my girlfriend's over there paying for the tickets and everything, she's over here messing with me and trying to fight and all that. So that was pretty funny. Alright guys, so I'm finished with my my cabin, my gingerbread cabin. I'm finished with it. All nicely decorated. All the decor. Look at all that. So that's going to be the end for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for listening to my story. See you guys in the next one, and that'll be it. But before we go, make sure you guys go like, subscribe, comment, share.
Hit the bell notifications to make sure that you catch up on his videos.
If you guys want to hear more stories, more interesting stories, comment down below, and I'll for sure give you guys more interesting stories. So, without further ado, that'll be it for the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.